Yeah.
Okay. All right. Welcome. And Lakshmi is going to take us through some serious stuff.
No,
Over
I
to
would
you,
say
Lakshmi.
that, thanks, Shibu. I would say that I just was thinking that at the moment when we have formed all these groups in Arbor, the one that we are doing is something to do with the environment and BESCOM. And others are also doing something very similar. And we are also doing something with the lake, wherein we need to really participate with the public or the public systems. So I just thought since 2005 or 6, I've been involved directly and indirectly, I would say till about 2016, 17, trying to figure out if we can all do something for Bangalore. So I just wanted to put together the genesis of how it started and where it took the frustrations we went through, the fun time we had all together, and some of the winnings that we had. So I just thought I would put together, and then most of you will be able to relate yourselves to what is happening because most of these are all Bangalore based. And then I would like to talk a little bit more that has happened elsewhere in India. And can I share the screen? Can you share the screen now?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Here is the full, yeah.
Yes, it's seen well.
So let me just check if I'm right. Yeah. So, first of all, this all happened sometime in 2002, in fact, when I was involved with a group of guys with Nandan Nilekani, when we started this Bangalore Agenda Task Force. The Bangalore Agenda Task Force actually began its at the beginnings with a couple who returned back from US, in fact, from New York, a couple by name of Ramesh and Swati Ramanathan. Ramesh was an MBA from Yale, and then he was working with Citibank. At a very young age, he was a senior vice president of Citibank. And Swati is an architect, also from Yale, masters, and then with working with Parsons. And then she was also architect with a firm in New York. And along the way, they started looking at how they can participate in the development of New York. And so they started with that, and they came to India and settled down with Ramesh starting his own business here, and Swati also starting a small architectural firm. The thought came as to why is it that in Bangalore, Ramesh is from Bangalore, Swati is from Bangalore. They both studied together. They married. She's a Gujarati and he is a South Indian, a Brahmin. So the thought of Ramesh and Swati came as to why is it that we all go outside and try to do so much? Why can't we do here? And so the discussion went on, and I think then Nandan also joined up together. Then there was Naresh Narasimhan, who was the architect here. Naresh, then Ravi Chandra, then Pradeep Ka's wife, Kalpana. So all of them joined together, and I used to be with them, and more particularly working with Kalpana at that time. So the main idea was, why not we all do something? Because we know that there are so many agencies involved in the city, and the town is very rapidly growing, and it's unplanned growth. And for those of you who know about it or don't know about it, the last city planner who joined, a qualified good city planner who joined at that time in 2002, was a person in 1969 who was a qualified town planner. The rest of the people were not qualified town planners, and they just start evolving, were studying and evolving themselves into what they thought was town planning. Actually, if you turn the clock back, there was one Mr. Lakshman Rao, IAS, who was the commissioner for Bangalore. At the time when 1954, 55, he was the first town planner, in fact, who started the satellite town of Jayanagar. And Jayanagar was most wonderfully planned place with zoning and all that. And very clear zoning, red zones, brown zones, green zones, etc. And development of the lake around the place with the 4 lakes that were there. So basically, Lakshman Rao gave the whole system because he 80 feet roads, 40 feet roads, and 20 feet roads, where the number of occupants in that area was also specified, which means that a road, if it was supposed to have only about 85 people by some sort of a calculation, he worked accordingly to provide for 200 people the pipelines, the power connection, the transformers, etc. And as the city was developing, he never permitted them to have multi-storied buildings, because multi-storied building means automatically more number of people. But after he went, I think the city got opened out, and everybody started feeling as to why is it that this is being restricted, land cost is going up. So the real growth in the vertical direction started. With that, the infrastructure started crumbling, and very clearly it showed that there was no kind of a focus on the infrastructure. In 2006, we had the Comprehensive Development Plan, the so-called CDP of 2010, where Charles Correa and all of them participated, and we as groups, all of us had discussions, and the final outcome was the full map with the details. Of those days, there was no mapping on the computer; it was all physical map. I mean, paper mapping, and that was put up in the YMCA, and anybody could go there, record their thoughts. There were enough qualified people from the architectural society who offered themselves to BDA at that time. So a number of things were noted, but after that, one of the things that was always happening with all of us was, there used to be Bangalore was those days all coming up. Infosys was small, but number of people used to keep meeting up, and in all the dinners that we used to go, come a couple of whiskeys down the system, everybody would say, "Come on, this is so bad." Then you would say that somebody has to fix up the O's, the terrible state, and somebody would say, "No, I pay my taxes. What the hell for?" And when I pay my taxes, it's not my job to look at the infrastructure. It's somebody's job to look at the infrastructure. And the infrastructure is completely broken down. Now, what does it really mean? It means that you're looking at traffic, you're looking at pedestrians, you're looking at, right, all the people who own the road, right? Whether there's a public transport, garbage, roads, you name it all. And on top of it comes the other most interesting part is the corruption, right? And if you leave all the others, you notice we have put corruption in the middle, because the rest of it is all controllable. The one in the middle is the one that is being driven by the human system. So it is becoming very difficult even to understand as to how to get this going. So the concept of BATF, the Bangalore Agenda Task Force, was that every third month, there is the Nimhans Convention Center, which could take in about 1,000 people. Anybody could attend. The chairpersons of BESCOM, BWSSB, the BMLTA, the others, all the respective governmental chairpersons would come and present their scorecard. It was something very similar to what we do in corporate world, that there would be a policy deployment, and the policy deployment, you would then say, on this score, we are doing this, and Mr. S.M. Krishna, the then Chief Minister, would be there personally. And Mr. Krishna would then ask questions, and then the concerned ministers had to be there, and the industries were represented, the public were represented, the RWA, the Resident Welfare Associations were all there. At that time, the total number of Resident Welfare Associations was 102. Now it became 198. Now I think it's 230 and all. So all of them had a way of representing, and there was not a mailer. The questions are all very structured. It went through exceedingly well. And one of the things that was taken up was the Lal Bagh, and Nandan personally put in money. He first started with 2 crores, finally he put 8 crores. The glass house was completely rebuilt. And one of the things that they all wanted to do was the Krumbigal building. The Krumbigal was the person who built Lal Bagh, in fact. Lal Bagh, and he was recruited by the Maharaja to build Lal Bagh. And in fact, his granddaughter now takes very great efforts in, we have got to form a group called the Heritage Beku. So Alia is very much involved in it. And anyway, they wanted to build up Krumbigal's house, but unfortunately the other day when I went around in the month of January, they have demolished the whole Krumbigal house and it's all gone. So I think the entire idea was that we got to really start looking at planning Bangalore, set up a planning system for Bangalore, etc. Rather than keep complaining that somebody is not doing the job. We inherit whom we elected, and so the system was like that. So there's nothing that we could do about it. Then we all sat together and said, then BATF died a kind of a natural death after SM Krishna stepped down. And Nandan lost his interest in the whole thing because after putting so much of money, it almost people started asking him as if he was due to do more. It is his job literally. And somehow he felt that it was not the way it was going on. And of course, the opposition came onto it and said somebody started opposing what was being done. This was all being done in order to encourage the capital takeover of the city, etc., etc. And therefore, that's kind of died down. So lessons learned out of which we had a session in Angsana where Mr. C.K. Prahlad was there. So I requested him whether he would come and spend a day. He came and spent a full day. I had requested Arun Maira, who was at that time with BCG. So Arun was my first boss in Tata Motors, and therefore I had a lot of respect for him and the way he used to express himself or moderate it. So I requested Arun whether he could come and moderate. So we had a lot of very interesting people, including Mr. Sheshan, who had come, who happened to be in Bangalore, the chief election commissioner. So I went and requested him. He says, I don't know anything about you, sir. I think at least you can come and sit down, and I'm sure that there'll be something that is coming out of it. So at that end of the day, it was a complete, it was a 2-day seminar we had. Arun and Professor was there for one full day. And this was also the time when, along with CII, Professor Prahlad wanted to launch that India at 75. And at the end of the whole session, we said, let's come down with a Bangalore urban declaration and say, what is it that we want to do? What is it we recognize? Who are all the parties to the whole thing? And what do we subscribe for? What do we believe in? What's our vision of amongst ourselves? And what do we acknowledge? And what do we appreciate about what is going to happen to all of us? Not to set very high expectations. There was also the time when the Jawaharlal Nehru Urban Renewal Mission was coming up. And therefore, there was a lot of participation also in the JNNURM because it was all started off from Bangalore. In fact, one portion of this, and therefore we started calling it, this was Arun Maira who started off calling, let's call it City Connect. And the one logo that you see on the top was designed by Ram Goa's wife, Sujata. Because she said it is going to be city and connect both CCs, and both are connected, and therefore she said, let's have it that way. I thought a very nice logo. So this was the one that we all started off with. Now, what was the whole concept about? The concept was that all the companies would participate, the RWAs would participate, we'd give the chance for NGOs to participate, social groups, and also that is the Lions, Rotary, etc. and industry association. Therefore, I had to request Tarun Das at the time. Sunil Mittal was the chairperson at the time of CII. And of course, the most first and immediate reaction, of course, was that, hey, listen, CII does not believe in any activism. I said, it's not activism, there's only participation. But of course, along with that, there will be some activism. We'll of course, take up some issues which don't get solved. We won't just represent and keep quiet and say we already represented and submit a 400-page notebook to them. We will, of course. I said, for that, I don't want to say that we won't do it. We will do it. And therefore, there was a question. Then finally, Sunil Mittal came on the line and I talked to him. He said, please, for heaven's sake, go ahead. If all of us feel that we're going to keep quiet into the whole system, he said, I'll talk to Mr. Das and you carry on. And then later, of course, Tarun was so magnanimous in saying, Lakshmi, I was trying to reflect the CII view that we don't get into any activism, and therefore we didn't want the CII logo to be put in where there's an activism. And therefore, ultimately, at the end of the day, it was that we said we'll all join up together. And then we formed the City Connect Trust. City Connect Trust came up with Ramesh and me as the co-founders. Kiran joined in, Chris joined in, Indra Preman, who was at the time, her father, A.S. Lakshmanan, was a very well-known person in Bangalore, and he used to be very active in Bangalore. He was the first fellow who said that when the power tariffs all went up, he said, let all the industries go on strike. Let them go and not pay 1 rupee electrical bill charges. Let's see what they will do, etc. So he is one of those guys. So Indira was there. Then Swati is Ramesh's wife. Swati is the one who's the architect. Then there's one Kiran Shah, who's here and who's the boss of Nirmal. Kiran runs this Velankini software and then electrical park, Otera and all that. Then we had Rama, who was at that time a senior vice president with Infosys, and now she runs the Electronic City Association. Raghu was in charge of. He is the founder of NTTF, the Nittor Technical Training Foundation, and Ravi Chandra, who is now the face of BIC. So Ravi was a very active guy because he had his own setup of market research, but more or less he decided that he will step out of it and start working on all such things very much. So this was the team that was formed and said we will start working to find out, and for that we wanted funding. We wanted roughly the region of, to begin with, 1 crore rupees, because a lot of work had to be done. No administrative cost. That was all being picked up directly by the companies. But we had to pay the architects, then we had to pay market research, then we had to pay for city planning. We had to get some 3 or 4 good city planners with us. And Infosys, Biocon and Wipro came in and got Bosch to do something. Akzo Nobel and Kiran Shah from Velankini, Titan came up. Some of them did come up, and of course, a lot of them were worried that are we going to go and oppose the government? My company, I should be very careful. I don't want to be seen as if I'm opposing the government. May I put me into a problem? I said, no, I don't think we are going to oppose that way. We're going to work with the government. So these are all the industries that came in, and more got added. We finally collected about 2 crores. And then we started working with Bangalore Metro, Bangalore Police. First of all, when we worked with Bangalore Police, it was very interesting that there was no way by which we could catch a guy and charge him. So we said, first of all, our entire registration numbers and our vehicle details must be on a database. So a large amount of database had to be collected. Then we had to have their telephone number. They had to have the entire database in case you have to arrest. Chalan him, you got to understand where it is. Then Vikram Chandru, who was a professor at IISc, at that time come out with this thought of Simputer. There was no handheld computers and all that. So for those of you who had heard about Simputer, which is the earlier version of handheld computer, so Vikram came up with the thought of having that Simputer to be used for this, because he said it can be on a net-based thing. And Vinay Deshpande, who was that guy who started Encode Technology, he said, Lakshmi, I can get this produced in India. So we will do that. So we produced about 300 of that. And in order to fill in, we had recruited about 10 people who put the entire thing, at least as far as Bangalore was concerned, a database was created. And then the chalaning started. So today, if you get chalan, you say the whole thing was started in 2004-5, when we had the whole thing on our database. And from 2006-7, they started chalaning based on the database that is created. And that's why even now, when you stop in a traffic signal, they start noting your number, they check with the database, then they come and tell you, sir, you're not paid your fines for those 2 days or 2/10 of what you did. So that is what we did with Bangalore City Police. There was one M.N. Reddy, fantastic guy, who helped us out with that. Bangalore Metro was just coming, and Sirisalam is one of those IIT Madras IS chair. And Sirisalam was an excellent, basically being a techie, he understood that we could do something, because we found that wherever the metro stops, there needs to have a crossover, a logistics center. So Sirisalam started working with us. And then came the BMT. Then BMT said, the Bangalore Municipal Transport, they said, we will try to run buses out of the hubs that are going to be created by Bangalore Metro. Then came a very interesting situation that the Bangalore 2008 Bangalore airport was to be opened, the new airport. Now, with the new airport opening, we went on and then made an analysis that the airport's capacity at that time was 6 million. And we found that that 6 million is going to be not at all useful for a period of time, which is hardly 3 years from there. We said at least you should have a total capacity of 14 million. He said, unless it's 12 to 14 million, there's no point in opening that. And I said, for that reason, please leave this infrastructure which is being created as far as the HAL airport is concerned. Let's try to figure out how it can be worked. Maybe all the ATRs can fly out of the Bangalore airport, at the HAL airport, and from the larger aircrafts can fly out of there. Primarily, we had to then talk to Albert Brunner. Albert Brunner was the CEO of, Albert was a very close friend of ours. So Albert said, Lakshmi, I fully understand from where you're coming. We'd love to do it, but sorry, I have my business to do. I have got a clearance from the Karnataka government, which was a 50% participant of BIL those days, to say that 150 kilometers from the center of the Devanahalli airport, no other airport can come. That was an assurance that has been given, and therefore I will not permit any other airport to be operated. Then what happened was, then we found that this had to work on. Then we took Sajjan Povaya, who's a very good lawyer. So Sajjan started working with us, and then we first put in the first PIL against opening the airport. Now, as soon as we put in there, it was very interesting as to how everybody started completely being with us. The media completely came with us. We addressed the media. From the left, you will see the people. Mohandas Pai used to be there, Ramesh, myself, Kiran, and Ravi. We had addressed several conferences for 3 days to say as to why are we opposing the Bangalore airport. We are not opposing the Bangalore airport. We are opposing the thought of closing down the HAL airport. And therefore, unless HAL airport is given to be opened out, the Bangalore airport should not be opened. But HAL being HAL and then being a public sector company, the chairman of HAL said, please, you guys fight what you want. I can't say anything. I can't say no, it has to be kept open. Finally, we went to the court. And there were quite a few coverages. You see a young Kiran around. And then came the High Court came with us. High Court said, you're absolutely right. The question of HAL being opened out does not arise. The Bangalore airport. The HAL airport has to be open, and it has to be kept open, and we had given a complete plan. See, that is where all the couple of crores of rupees went. We had to get a guy who knew everything about the airport to talk. Otherwise, we didn't want to just go to the High Court with just an emotional plea. And this guy had put in a lot of efforts to say as to why and how the HAL airport can be done, and also gave an idea as to how we can connect up. And that was the time when we said, there is, at the Viman Nagar, there is a railway station, and the railway station goes up to Bayapanalli, and from there it goes towards straight up to Devanahalli. So we said, if you have that made into a faster track, you can take from Bangalore airport, the HAL airport, straight up to Devanahalli, 2 kilometers away from the Bangalore airport. Lalu Prasad Yadav at that time was the railway minister. We talked to the local divisional manager. He said, sir, we'll have to go to Lalu Prasad Yadav. So we sent out a complete thing to Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav. At that time, I think we said up to some point, and then there's got to be interchange. We worked out at that time, it was 3.5 crores or 4 crores, nothing very much. Plus, of course, the other things that were 11 crores or something like that. So we said we need to get this going. And then the High Court completely said, fine. He said it has to be negotiated again. You cannot close down the HAL airport. But having said that, then the guys at the Bangalore airport, that is the Bangalore International Airport Limited, said no way, and wanted to take it up. And then the High Court said, no, hang on. He said, we are not saying that you can't open the airport. You can open the airport, but you'll have to ensure that the HAL airport is opened up. We said we are not stopping at that. We said then we went to, we requested Harish Salve. As you know, Harish Salve charges 15 lakhs per sitting. So Harish Salve came and said, okay, this is a fantastic thing. I will do it pro bono. We went to the Supreme Court. So it was there at the Supreme Court when we had to stop because the Prime Minister requested K.K. Mishra at the time, the Chief Secretary, said, listen, ask these guys to hold in abeyance. The Supreme Court will hang on. So then, anyway, it was put on thing and then HL Airport opened out. But as soon as the HL Airport opened out, it was fantastic. We just couldn't reach the airport for 3.5, 4 hours. And though this, I was staying in Koramangala. From Koramangala to the airport, it was 3.5 hours. That was because when you went, the National Highway authorities had not put in money to have the present, what you see as the Bellary Road. It was not existing at all. You had to go at a particular place, and then there were detouring taking place, and right along the way, there was a total mela. There were huge traffic jams. Then we said, no, this we should not allow it to happen. We put in 33 plus 33, 66 lakhs. We had about 280 or 290 guards who were stationed at 10 vantage points in order to ensure they control the entire traffic. Because the police guys said there's no way we can control this kind of a traffic. So it's beyond us. Because Mr. M.N. Reddy said there are 2,200 vacancies available, but it's all held up at the Karnataka Administrative Service. Now, Karnataka Administrative Forum or whatever it's called. He said they're not allowing me to recruit because in the pecking order, first of all, I have to get the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, then I got to go to other backward classes. Like this, by the time I finish, it's going to take never ending because at every stage, you've got to wait for recruiting the policemen. Therefore, he said, gentlemen, there's nothing that I can do. If you can do something, it'll be great. Then we put in the money for about 6 months, or 8 months. We had supported the BBMP in order to ensure that there will be regulating of traffic. We had some excellent retired traffic cops who came in. So we had about 280 people, and that worked. Now, what I'm trying to say is, it is not activism in order to stop something. In order to bring to the notice of the people that you can do something at the same time, be constructive, don't be destructive. Nobody said anything has to be done, but now, Mr. Karunanidhi wanted to open the airport in Hosur, and there's a lot of discussion going on. Now then came several issues in Bangalore. Infrastructure was being, like I just told you, there was no town planner worth his name. And therefore, since we didn't have a town planner, if you can see what happened, ITC factory, which used to be at near Coxtown, ITC factory moved on to near the Devanahalli airport. They converted that into an IT park. When they converted that into an IT park, there's a massive amount of traffic. And there is a underpass there, and there's a railway line. So there was a massive traffic jam, and people used to take 3-4 hours there. It depends, because then they used to go towards Fraser Town and then come down. And those of you who know that portion of Bangalore, Fraser Town itself, when you want to go to the Bangalore East Station, there was hardly a 30-foot tunnel through which they had to go. And it used to be stuck there. Net result was there's nobody who was trying to take recognition of the fact that this should be changed. So we had two people who architected this whole the way the roads were to be built, and then finally the road got built after about quite a few things. Then all along the way, we had to go and request Yogi from ITC, please put in some money. This was something like, at the time it was 4.5 crores. So ITC were gracious enough to accept that is not only their problem, because it's the road going to Banaswadi, Lingarajpuram, etc., etc. So then ITC put in money, BBMP put in money, and then the whole thing was executed. And of course, the design came from our side. Then came, you see how things are created in Bangalore. If you have a look, when our dear friend Mr. Malia had moved out of the United Breweries, which is in the center of the city, he moved to Nelamangala. What he did was he converted that along with Prestige as what's called now the UB City. And the left-hand side here, if you see, if I show the cursor, this was how they had left. I mean, there was a massive big drain full of filth. On either side, there was no way by which anything could move, and they stopped. And then we went to Irfan, the guy from Prestige, and the UP said they would put in money. And after that, we started really working and then got the entire facelift done. And then it came up to what you see on the top. And this is exactly what you see now as the Vitavalya Road. And then there was this famous Silk Board Junction. Now, Silk Board Junction did not have a flyover those days. Flyover was under planning. Then we had a set of guys who came in from civil engineering section. We recruited about nearly 40 people for a very limited period of time to collect a lot of data. The data was, you see, the basic thing we all meant was that you cannot but accept that all these people are going to be there. The hawkers are going to be there. You'll have to give place to the footpath guys. You got to give place to every road owner. And so you see along the way as to what are all the problems that was initiated, and you see all the key points that were there. All this data was finally taken, and by the time advent of CAD systems had come in, we made the entire layout for the flyover as to how it could come. It was very partially accepted because at that time we also wanted to redo the Madiwala market. It was partially accepted, and then we said we will try to put this together, and then it was handed over to BBMP. So then came the thought of what do we do? So one day when we had a meeting and we were all at the Bangalore club, said, listen, we're all doing the bits and pieces. Can we do something for the entire city of Bangalore? You know, doing for the entire city of Bangalore, first of all, by that time, you must always understand that the corporates will go this far and no further. For a glass of whiskey, of course, everybody used to curse that this is not there, that's not there. When I used to go, and Ravi and I were the basic people who used to go along with Kalpana, trying to figure out whether you can get any more money. Of course, the three kingpins or four of them did put in money to take it to 2.5 crores, but that was where we stopped. He said, no, we don't have that kind of a money, and then we can't go on. And then we went and discussed the matter with the chief secretary. He said, there's no way by which I can give money to you guys. You participate with us. Then we told him that there's no way by which we can participate with you because there are your secretaries keep changing every now and then. Now, then we said, we are sitting at the Bangalore club. We said, then focus what we need to do at the road, at least let the traffic get improved. Then what we did was we looked at various points, and that is where, in fact, I went and met my brother-in-law, Suresh's father, to ask him as to whether there would be something called a standard for urban roads. He said, no, there are standards for everything else, because of course he was running the border road. He had a lot of standards there. Standards were existing on the National Highway Authorities. There's no standards for urban roads. Even today, as we are talking, there are no standards for urban roads. That means if anybody wants to construct anything, they can construct the way they want it. Approximately where the tree is going, where the gutter is going, you somehow manage it. That was how it was. And even the design project review setting, which used to have, there was no, and the contracts were very, very weak. And road digging was normal. One fellow would go, and even today it happens. I'll end it with that. There was no inter-agency coordination at all. He said, fine, you please go ahead and then we'll find out. And the maintenance was not there. And then what happened was, if you look at the Walton Road, which is very close to UBCT, then we went to the Walton Road to prove a point that you can really do something for Bangalore. I'll take a little bit faster. So then we had this idea of how do we have standards for urban road execution, acronym as SURE. And we said if somebody is able to bring out this standards, it will really help us in order to be able to hand over to somebody who can start construction. So Walton Road was chosen. You will see how it was before, and every one of the aspects of the road owners, including the drainage, the property entry, exit, and then the varieties of those standees that you see all along. Everything was done. Incidentally, those standees are all the road on the footpath. You will see those black cast iron stuff. Made it out of granite first. And as soon as it was made, within 3 days, half of it was missing because somebody came and broke it and then took it home. So then it was later replaced by cast iron ones. So this was the kind of work that was done, and what the main point was, every one of the aspects, and I'll show you a little bit later as to how the road design was done. So the entire road was fully dug up and ensured that every one of the items, whether it is a power supply, whether it's water supply, and at that time there was no smart cities. Even the fiber optic cables were laying, everything was put in. But more important was the parking. At that time, of course, we didn't have a parking system like what we have now, but we gave it as to how much the parking would be, and then we insisted that UP City has got should have parking for over 500 people, cars. That was when UP City had to go further down and increase the number of parking places. So then came the Vittal Malia Road, and UB and Irfan were good enough to fund us in order to bring the Vittal Malia Road. And this is how it was. And you started looking at it, you'll see as to how much it was. And those days, people are fed up of us because it was shut down for nearly 8 months by the time the Vittal Malia Road came to what you see now here. Then you'll be surprised, I don't have the print here, as to how road repairs were being executed. It was just one sketch that was given out, and the contractor used to code on that basis, and the L1 was chosen, and there was nothing else that was taken care of, just fixes failed, and that was being done. And then we said the right of way plans are not very clear. There's no question of right of way. Where's the question of right of way? There's no way at all. And therefore, we really started having a look and started plotting, and that's when we had now a lot of youngsters who worked with us in data collection. And then we had the plotted as to who should do what. And what you see here is the ultimate road design. On the left-hand side, you see the bill of quantities and the bill of material. On the right-hand side, you see how the roadways were done. On the left-hand side is the for the pedestrians, and then this is all for the cars, the cyclists, the pedestrians. And then road junctions were created. Then there was a contractor's agreement made, and that's when it started being called as the tender sure. Tender as per sure. Tender it as per the standards for urban road execution. Nowadays called in Bangalore as tender sure. So background, therefore, you know what it is. So this was being made out, and the entire contractual agreement came up, and it became easier for them to make it. And the 5 reasons are very clear. The multiplier effect of what we started doing was enormous. Vittal Malia Road was a case in point. And all the big roads is a pain point for everybody. And there was nothing to do about private-public enterprise. It is only public enterprise. How do you incentivize, and how do you bring them on the table? And finally, how do we generate for those MLAs who are there? How do we generate political capital? And that finally ended up in the document that was done, wherein we brought in and we said, let us go to Mr. Sadanand Gowda, was the chief minister, Mr. Ravindra, whom you see on the left-hand side, Suresh Kumar. They were all there, and we had a long 2-day discussion. And finally, Sadanand Gowda said that, listen, there's no way that you should talk in terms of only about 4 or 5 roads. I want at least 45 roads to be made. And all this, in the next budget, I'll give you 260 crores. You do it. I said, no, sir, we can't do 260 crores. We don't have the wherewithal in order to do 260 crores. We took 12 crores out of that just to prove a point. And then you will see at that time, Kiran, Chris was there. This is Swati, and behind Swati was me. So 4 of us went and signed the document along with the government. And then came this, first of all, it was decided we'll do the Richmond Road, the Residency Road, then we'll do the St. Mark's Road, the Mahatma Gandhi Road, right up to the Trinity Circle. This was our basic thing that we did. And then when we started opening, there was no drawings, there was nothing. Actually, in a way, that was the time when we were building our arbor, and I came to ask Mr. Narottam, sir, where is my drawings for the electrical system? It was exactly like what you have seen it here. The shortest way that meets 2 points is the straight line. So that is how it was here. It's no different. And therefore, it was all over the city, it was like this. So all those roads were opened out, and you can just see even how the manholes were all opened out, the water pipeline area was done. And of course, whatever was being corrected was this way. And I just want to go a little bit faster to say that one of the things that the chief secretary at that time wanted an assurance was from all his people from the BBMP, etc., that there will be no cutting of the roads for the next 10 years. And then we started the work. But the question was, who will make all the contractors here? At the time, I was in one of the independent boards of Larsen and Toubro. So when I went to Larsen and Toubro, they said, no, anything less than 500 crores will not take. But there was one Mr. Rangaswamy who used to be handling the construction division. He said, Lakshmi, I got a way out. There's one NAPL who's been taken over by the French guys, but they will do it for you. So I went and requested NAPL, and when Mr. Manian was there, so they came in, they bid for it. And that was the first time on a single bid, the tender was cleared. And NAPL took the full contract of opening out and to the TM, Swati and her Jana Urban Space Limited. They did the entire workout. And finally, you will see all this is how it was made. This is all the ducting that you see. And this is the road that you see. This was the place for the bus stand, bus parking. So this is all within the existing one, not that we said I break open all the rooms and the same. So to cut the story short, this was it. And then what happened was, and then I would like to come to the final point, is it was, it was very excruciatingly painful for us. My little apartment in the center of the city got turned into on every Saturday full day workshop. Swati used to come with her entire group. And there was one Somsekhar, who was the chief engineer. He said, sir, I won't sit in the corporation building, then I will not do this work. He came and sat down and he did the entire workout. And then the first road was built. And those of you who travel on the St. Mark's Road through the Residency Road, coming down to the Museum Road, you will see that no digging has been done after it was done, except now they started digging about some time ago because of the smart city. Now, the reason it was done because the Vittal Malya Road came up to the end of Vittal Malya Road and the level road. And the rest of the portions, it was not given to us, and therefore we didn't do it. So with this, we stopped. But today, after that, we said we would work on it, because you must understand all of us have work to do it, because it was very interesting as to how people like Chris Gopalakrishnan, he was the CEO of Infosys, Kiran used to spend a lot of time. All of us used to spend a lot of time on this, and of course, we had our jobs to do. At some point, we said we can't carry on. I had requested Bosch at the time, my guest house, to be literally turned into an office. 2 rooms were taken out to made into an office for these chaps to work on, have our meetings, etc. Cut the story short. After we finished, even today, there are tender roads that you see everywhere that tender show comes, but unfortunately, the standards are there. The tendering is based on the standard, but the execution of the roads are not as per standard. We went and did an audit about 8 years ago and found a couple of them were not okay. And by the time I had become a member of what is called ABIDE, it was the agenda for development. And we're all there at the time, but when we took up one said to say that I'm afraid that the sure is not being made as per sure. Then he said, if you can just put a group and give me a report. The group was made, a report was made, report was given. And that is when I said further, any committees that are formed, I refuse to now join the committees, because you keep making reports after reports and hand over the reports. And that's the end of the show. You really don't see it. I'm sorry, after nearly 12 years of working, I must tell you this, because corporates are very nice, but then corporates only do so much and not more because they're scared. Because they're scared that somebody in the government will not like what they are doing, and they may be faced with some problems. So today you really notice very few people coming forward and really taking ownership. In fact, with the smart city, I requested that the government can set up a small group of similar minded people But I think that's all coming into place. But I will say never say die. The government has got excellent ideas. The government wants to execute. There are some excellent people in the company. And finally, I want to stop with what Arun Maira finally said. We started off, by the way, City Connect in Chennai, City Connect in Hyderabad, City Connect in Cochin, and City Connect finally in Pune. And Arun said, Lakshmi, I don't understand as to why it can't continue to do much better work in Bangalore. You got the best of brains, you got the best of companies, you got the best of everything. Why doesn't it work? I told him, Arun, it's very simple. If you go and have a look as to what happens, it's very difficult to push through the entire bureaucracy. People keep changing. And then we are not here to write reports. We're not here to form committees and go and report to the committees, because many committees were formed within a matter of about 6 months of working. The committees got disbanded. Committee reports were given, but that was the end of the day, and it never saw any proper thing unless the political system worked. So with that, I stop. But I think I would like to stop the sharing, and now I'd like to open out.
Oh, that's great, yeah. Very nice. A lot of hard work, obviously, going into all this.
Okay.
Discussion.
Lakshmi, I have two questions. In your whole experience, City Connect will continue to prosper, be effective. What are the three key problems, top three problems that we must get rid of? That's one question. The second is to do, you spoke of City Connect in other cities. Now, whether it exists as City Connect or not, in specific areas like roads, there are islands of excellence in the country like Mumbai. I mean, that's a city which has built roads which can withstand the worst of rains, and they had sort of interlocked RCC roads way before any other city. So was there a process to do shared experiences with other islands within the country? Both
I think, Prasad, just answer you. What did we do finally about this? Sure. Today, if you see, even during worst of rains, neither the Residency Road nor the St. Mark's Road gets flooded. Right? Every other place you'll always see here flooding. It doesn't get flooded. Somebody should ask, why doesn't it happen? Now, it's very simple. If you ask for three things, most important thing is we need a very well qualified town planning department. A department which really applies data, and we have got the data.
Are you saying on the part of bureaucracy government or in the part of City Connect?
Bureaucracy. You know, City Connect can go this far and no further because funding is very difficult, Prasad. You know, you need at least 3-4 crores every year to keep running, and you need very committed people. The next generation of CEOs are not participating. They don't participate because they feel that there's a lot of work they do, and this is a thankless job. So the main thing is it has to be transferred. In one of the short reports of 3 pages, what we gave, we just said, please have a good city planning department. That is very much needed. Second thing is a quality department which approves of the quality of construction and is responsible and certified by TÜV or somebody like that. And the last portion is a very good financial control department. All these three are very difficult in the city to come by. That's where the city fails.
Well, I just have some comment which all my friends, after I moved here 4 years ago and having lived 30 years in Delhi, when I tell them I moved to Bangalore, many of them know of the old glories of Bangalore and now think it's an urban pigsty. And they tell me that, you know, what worries them is that if Bangalore can't solve its problems with all its availability of capital, availability of large corporates, and above all,
Prasad, we have lost you.
Together, no other city will.
Okay, Prasad.
The expectation that a city like ours must get our act together and prove, like you proved it in the case of a few things like tender sure roads. So the time has come to identify 5 key priorities, find corporates or individuals who do what they have. That's why I asked for the 3 which we can get rid of, because we can't give up.
No, of course not. Prasad, we'll be running out of time. I just want to share one thing which we did in Koramangala. In Koramangala, we wanted to find out as to how many people are avoiding paying taxes, because the collection of taxes was dismal there. It's so simple. You have the BBMP, you've got the water taxes bill, you got the electricity bill. Now and then you have got the companies registered because they have to be registered for the tax purposes. If you put these three data together, you find out how many people are running commercial buildings and paying, how many people are using water and paying residential taxes. One of the, when we submitted that, Srinivas Murthy was the commissioner. He said, Lakshmi, what is this nonsense? How come my people have not done it? I said, sir, I don't know why your people have not done it, but it's so simple. But there it came out, and we explained to him that the road which can take in 200 people has got now 1,300 people. I said, sir, it's a question of taxes you please collect. But what about the sewage? What about the, what are you going to do about it? 1,300 people or 200 people are supposed to stay. Lakshmi won't create.
Okay.
Oops, my internet is failing.
Yeah, all our internet, I think, is a little weak.
Yeah, I think Muthuraman wants.
Muthuraman sir, you're mute. You need to unmute yourself.
I think.
You need to unmute yourself.
You're still on.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah,
internet is
okay.
slow.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lakshmi, that is very good. And it's an important subject for all of us Indians. I have one suggestion and a comment. But first, the comment, because both are interrelated. The government of India provides for industrial townships. For example, Jamshedpur became an industrial township, as you may be aware, more than 50 years ago. And Jamshedpur is easily, very easily the best maintained town of India, where you can drink water off the tap, you can breathe air without having to suffocate yourself, and wide roads and a beautiful place. Now, the reason why, and many, lots of times in the last 50 years, the government of Jharkhand has made attempts to snatch away this industrial township, which has survived through Supreme Courts, through High Courts and all that. So there is an example of industries running townships, and much better than what the governments can do. The second one is a suggestion linked to this. Arbors is in Jigani. Let us do something for Jigani from the arborate point of view, and let's put something in action. And what I would suggest is, let's go to the industries around Jigani and say, slowly we should be able to create a situation for forming Jigani as an industrial. That may be a little far away, but starting point is talking to industries and getting together an action plan by which the roads can be cleaner, parking need not be done at any place you want, roads are wider, there are more greenery around Jigani. And this is something which I believe is doable, which would be a great contribution of arborates to the area of Jigani. This is something which arborate can start. And in my view, we should start this.
Yeah, and I think we should dream big. We should say we want to create industrial township of Jigani. That should be the target.
Yeah. No, Prashad, the only thing
I think
do that first is we should demonstrate something to start with.
Yeah.
Spend maybe 2 or 3 years in demonstrating what we can do. Make people see that it's a good thing. Get the chief minister and the deputy chief minister and people like that to come and see what can be done by involvement of private entrepreneurs and private industries, and then go towards industrial township as a second or third stage.
So,
no, actually,
Lakshmi,
you're right.
in all this interaction that you had with bureaucrats, what did you find is the biggest hindrance or difficulty? Like, I would think that if you are going to spend more money on a tender sure road, they will get a bigger cut. So they'll be happier to put that in place, right? So what prevents them from accepting a higher quality? Even, I mean, in fact, it gives them a bigger opportunity to make more money. So why don't they accept these things? What prevents them from doing good in both ways?
Shibu, actually, what has happened is there's a government of Karnataka, at least BBMP, that all roads must be as per tender sure. They call it tender sure. I hate that word being used as tender sure. It should be tendered as per sure. Anyway, so the reason why they have it obviously is exactly what you said. Today, unfortunately, we were in Rajaji Nagar about 4.5 years ago. And there was a French lady who used to run this NAPL in Chennai, and she had come down. And when she came down, and she took so much of interest in the whole thing, and she said, unfortunately, I find the entire, the laying of the power cables and water sewage lines, etc. We'd specified a certain diameter, 200 millimeter diameter thing, and how it was to be laid and all that. But you're right, they were charging us for that and not laying us for that. I just want to stop it with one part about the bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is very good, no problem. The same Manjunath, who is the BBMP commissioner, was there when I completely redid the Madiwala market. I mean, Raji will always tell me, is wasting my bloody time here. Because you have no idea how much time we spent in completely redesigning the Madiwala market, because 3 young architects from Rajasthan who have settled down here, they did the entire work, including waste disposal. And that's when I got in with this Meenakshi and all that. But last minute, after everything was done, including car parking for the time being, when the whole thing was done, Ramling Reddy came and said, no, all this thing is useless. I don't want it. I will call my contractor and get it done. After that, I never went there. Even they called me for inauguration, I didn't go, because that is how bad it was. And Raji was very clear that they simply wasted my time. Yeah.
I think one of the things that, contractors want is like built-in obsolescence. They want to be given another contract a few years down the line. They don't want it to last.
Yes.
Yeah,
There are
right.
enough roads to be made.
Yeah, but
Instead
I
of
still think,
rebuilding old roads, if we even build the new ones, we'll have enough roads for the next century, I think. Anyway, Hema, go on. You were saying something.
No, it was a continuation to what Prasad said. He was wondering why we are not, as good as Delhi or Bombay. And this is just amongst friends. So you can be very honest here, Lakshmi. Aren't Karnataka politicians more corrupt than anywhere else in that regard? And I'm saying across parties. I'm not saying, I felt that in the last, 25 years of me living there, they've all been like much more corrupt than what we have seen in other parts of the country. I feel that is the reason because we have tremendous amount of money. We had a very young city, a very little on the canvas where we could have done so much better. We had the money, but we never could reach the heights that we could. And I think these guys are all to blame. I don't know. What did you think?
no, I have also found that Karnataka is more corrupt compared to even states like Orissa and Jharkhand. And I've seen that happen. But Lakshmi, just to get back to the point that I said, we still should attempt at Jigini. And we should make an attempt along all the industries. And that is something which we should start. Doesn't matter it has failed somewhere else. It doesn't matter somebody else failed. It doesn't matter.
No, Muthuraman, to be sure, it has not failed. We wanted to tell you that it has been successful. The entire 12 roads are very good today.
No, I know that.
I mean, if you want to do a planned road, you can do it.
No, Lakshmi, that tender sure is an extremely good idea. Since I know Ramanathan and Swati, I'm aware of that, and it's a wonderful job that you people have done, no doubt. What I'm saying is, beyond a certain point, it didn't do. So there is no harm in making attempt at smaller pockets like Jigini with the help of people like us, and we can go around and talk to industries and gather a sort of movement towards that.
Yeah, and the ability to go beyond, while roads is very critical, and I know amongst 1,000 problems, at least you come and did it. But I think in a smaller area, you should identify 5 key things which will improve quality of life and attack all 5 of them.
That's right. Start with one simple thing like cleanliness.
No, I'm asking, do the street lights burn now?
No, including that.
That is mainly because the people don't pay the money. The industries don't pay electricity charges well, so the corporation is not working.
Solving this includes finding what the problem is and solving it. I think
This has been not burning for the past 10 years.
Yeah, but nobody's done anything. We can do something.
Yeah, nobody has bothered.
Yeah, so we can do something.
They bothered and it did work.
Yeah,
Let's take up that find out why it is not burning.
That's one
Yeah,
of the
Lakshmi
first
sir, this is Anil. Just one question from my end. See, we being in these private sectors where things happen in a much more faster pace, how do you get accustomed to something which is heavily bureaucratized like this? Because the question is because I'm also interested in doing things like this. But my major worry is you speak to these multiple people, politicians, bureaucrats, multiple others. It would be so difficult to move things, and you can easily feel your passion will go off easily. So how do you manage that? How did you manage that?
Anil, that is really the biggest challenge. And if you really look at all the people who've been working, I would say, including, of course, Ramesh and Swati, they do a lot of work. And Kiran as well. If you see the amount of time that you have to spend with these guys, you cannot get frustrated and go. I mean, you've got to be at it. I mean, see, this is something which, in fact, what I compressed and told you in a matter of half an hour, 1 hour, it has taken us nearly 4.5 years. And 4.5 years of work that is consistently going on, which meant almost all Sundays were
I
gone.
want to add to what Narayan said to Anil. If you remember the first scene of Lawrence of Arabia, Peter O'Toole, who plays Captain Lawrence, holds up a matchstick, and then a lit burning matchstick, he runs his fingers right through and makes the flame go off. So there's a friend sitting next to him. He says, "Hey, Lord, how did you do it?" So he does the same thing, and as he comes to the tip, it burns, and he says, "My God, it burns. What's the trick?" Captain Lawrence tells him, "The trick is in not minding the burn." So I think that's what Lakshmi said. That's how you deal with these people.
Yeah,
Patience.
Lakshmi, if I may add to what you're saying, Anil, I have found one thing, that there are as many good people in the bureaucracy as there are good people in the private sector. There are lots of people in the private sector who don't follow rules, lots and lots of people. And the numbers are no different in the government compared to a private sector. All that you have to do is to play to the tune of people who listen to you and make them your allies. And that's what Lakshmi and others have done. And that's the way to go about doing it. It doesn't matter if there are bad people, because in the private industry, it's all not saints. We must realize that.
Yeah, that is there, sir.
Good.
Okay.
Great. Wonderful.
Thank you. Wonderful evening. Thank you for all the discussion, Lakshmi. Thanks for that
Thank you.
very
And
interesting
please
talk.
promise
It is relevant to Hema and me now.
And thanks, Lakshmi, for the wonderful work you all have done. Going around in central Bangalore has been transformed because of this work that you all have done.
Yeah.
So thanks.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Lakshmi, one thing I always wished was, I wish you had built those roads and footpaths in places which didn't have roads. MG Road anyway already had a
Okay.
anyway.
I will just
Okay.
stop. I will just tell you one thing interesting. Since we are a smaller group, we have got some people who can talk a lot, and the closest to that is Sri Mohandas Pai. So the first thing that he saw the St. Mark's Road, and he said, "What nonsense is this? Such a wide amount of footpath and such a small road." And he went around to say that this is absolutely wrong. And they put all plants. The plants will die. I can tell you today, so many people use the footpath. So many people ensure that the garden is kept well. I think once you give it to our city, they'll do it. As we're just talking, we've got the best of people in the city. What fantastic companies, and so thriving companies, will all do a lot. But somewhere along the way, I think we need somebody to get them together.
Okay.
Okay, guys.
Looking forward to
I hope
Jigni getting
with you.
changed. Thank you.
Let's see. I mean,
Thank you.
let's see.
Thank you.
I will bring that. I'll bring that Prasad, who's the Bommasandra Industrial Association president. We will let's chat with him.
Okay.
So, good night.
Okay, guys.
Bye.
All the best, everyone. Bye.